Hey everybody, how's it going? Everyone having a good weekend? So, um, let's see. So yeah, we're gonna give everyone a few minutes to get logged in, and then we'll get started. Um, Hello. So yeah, this has been quite the week. Trying to. I still haven't got everything opened up yet. Let me get going. Okay. All right. So yeah, this has been a fun week. We had that sale over the weekend last week, which wasn't really planned. I mean, we've only had two sales, and neither of them were planned. They were just sort of, um, hey, we need some extra money real quick. Let's have a sale. So that's what happened. We just kind of decided to do that, and then we so then yeah, I just got overwhelmed with the amount of orders coming in, and more than and I know this sounds weird, but like there's the process, at least as it stands with Etsy right now, is people put their order in and then I send the chi balls, but then I have to tell them that I sent the chi balls. And that process of telling is it's not quite as time consuming as the as sending them is, but it's a huge process as well that's extra. And and it can be daunting after you've finished, like sitting there for hours sending the chi balls, then to be like, okay, now I've got to send all the notifications out, and there's like 63 of them you got to do, and you're already exhausted and tired mentally. And the last thing you want to do is um, look at a tiny screen with some text on it. So that that was a whole other process. But yeah, we got it all done, and we're all caught up. Except for um, like some of the spirit companions, I still need to make um, some sigils for those and things of that nature. And like some people ordered some custom initiations, I still need to do those. But those like all have a longer timeline. Those can take up to 2 weeks. So. Um, but as far as like just all the regular treatments, all of that was we got all caught up with that. I think on Friday, I think I finally um, had everything back to normal. But anyway, it was a very long, exhausting week, and I am truly tired. Um, so, but I feel okay. I feel good today. So we'll get started here in a little bit. We're still a little less than what we usually get, so we might give people just a few more minutes to get here. Um, has anyone had any like success stories or anything from the past week that they'd like to share? Feel free to share those. Um, and then, you may have noticed if you're in the 151 group, which you should be if you're not, um, Jonty posted a a post. So we got more Kabbalistic attunements coming. It's been a while since we've had any new ones, so we're getting some of those and I'm going to try. There's one of them that has it's date specific for the best time to use them, and it starts the date is like June 9th, June 10th, something like that. And so I do want to get that out to you this week so that you'll have that. You can have it start. We can go through the process, me sending it to you, you ordering it, me sending it to you, and then you can have it by the time it starts on like 9th or 10th, or I guess it's that night between the 9th and the 10th. So yeah, that's cool. Looks like somebody did get some results from our prayer sessions. That's cool. I look pale and tired. Thanks. No, it's fine. I feel pale and tired. But yeah. So we've got some interesting stuff coming. That one I forget it's an angel. It has a B name, Burial or something like that. But it has there's a specific astrological window that's going to be open for about a year. That will be a really good time to work with that one. So I want to get that one available to you before the rest. So that'll be the first one out this coming week, and then we'll start getting through the rest of them. Probably about one a week, so it'll take a little while. And just to explain why what might take longer with some with those, because I have to split the profits on those. It's not a good financial decision to rely entirely on Kabbalistic attunements. Because of that, because Etsy takes their cut, and I got to make my cut with him, and so I end up with a much smaller piece from the Kabbalistic ones. So it doesn't make good sense to release nothing but the Kabbalistic, which I learned the hard way because I did that for like almost an entire year of nothing but those Kabbalistic attunements, and that it ended up kind of biting us in the backside. So we don't want to do that again. All right, I think we've gotten enough people. We can go ahead and start getting started. Oh, I did want to mention one thing. So for those who are kind of in the working with the ritual cycle and the stuff, I've been talking about the astral temple, and we would start using it after it had set for a month and after the new moon, which just happened. So it's technically ready, but I am not ready because, again, after what we just went through this week, I didn't have time to do the work that needed to be done to follow up on that. So we'll get that started next week. I will, and if not next week, definitely the week after. My wife is going away on a trip, and so this week we're going to be getting. And then when she comes back, she'll be gone about a week, and then she'll come back with her mother. And so we want the house to be nice for her mother. And so we're going to be spending this week, getting ready for her trip and getting the house in order and stuff. But then I'll have a week in the house alone with just me and the dogs. So I will have a lot more time that week. So if I don't get it done this week, then I can get that done next week. And then we can start that real work of doing the weekly visualizations in the style of Dion Fortune when she was fighting the Nazis, and when I do that, I won't just be doing it here. I'll be doing it. I'll post the videos in different places so that everyone has access to that work as we try again, and this is all part of the process of trying to make the world a better place, a more a place with where love, justice, and truth are more important than profits and cruelty. So, and I know it's moving slow, but I'm trying very hard to do this right and safely, so that no one gets hurt and that it's effective. And we can already see some of the effects of that, but we'll talk about that after. Maybe remind me. But we'll get started on this now, and then on our prayers and stuff. So everything's going to be basically the same this week. Maybe next week or the week after, there might be some more changes. But yeah, remind me, and we'll talk about that more at the end. So let's take a moment. Center yourself. Take a few deep breaths. We call in the eternal existence, the divine speech, and the holy children. O Zakar Balto Zir, Lageth Ad Lil Yokam. Come, I call you. Come to us all. Make us one in God. Glorify God. Rejoice with us. Bless us and unite our fellowship. Make our hearts a holy temple and our minds a holy throne. Open the temple of our spirit and dwell within us, O God. Let our thoughts be immaculate light and our gratitude become unconquerable power. Make us one as God is one. Kamsel Zakar O Na, Zakar Ganan, Eno Nan, La Eliad, Sobam Yad, Avavago Nan, Latnan, Ad Sobonan, Eno Nan, Sia Baskim, Lil, Ad Nan Sia Odo Lil, Zakar Baskim Nan Sia, Ad Tabul Nan, Yad, Noas Nan, Kasgan Fu, Ad Nan Avavago, Noah Samful Teag, Eno Nan El, Es Yad El. And then we're going to skip all the way down to. And we'll start with the prayer for protection. O eternal living God, powerful and most holy, holy, everlasting, and strong, we call upon you, we glorify God. Shield us from all things, bless us and guard us. Shatter darkness, break the wicked, and silence the unjust. Be friendly with us, dwell with us in heaven and earth. Truth and justice, eternal from the Creator God, we give thanks, we are blessed, and we rejoice. Yoyad Payid, Yaida, Lil Balto Ad Samf, Zakar Nan, Sobam Yad, Lukal Nan Ga, Latnan Ad Zomad, Pire Ors, Pire Laholo Ad Zizle, Dorfa, Zorge Nan, Tobelnan, Madriax Ad Kaosk, La'iad Veo Ad Balto Olag Yad, Olag Nan, Lapnan, Avavago Nan. Now the energy of protection. All right, going down to health and healing. O eternal most high, perfect and everlasting in power, we call upon you, we glorify God. Make us to flourish in joy and brightness. Bless us, preserve our strength, and bind us together. Be friendly with us, dwell with us in holiness and abundance. Call and shatter the darkness, shield us from all things. We give thanks, we rejoice, and we are blessed. Yoya, Yaida, Kasgan, Balto Odds, Somf, Zakarnan, Sobam Yad, Enonan, Avavago, Od Kasgan, Lapnan, Zomed, Somf, Od Kisnan, Zorgenan, Tabelnan, Lil, Od Balt, Zakar, Pire, Ors, Lukal, Nanga, Olagnan, Avavagonan, Lapnan. And this is the energy of health and healing. The prayer for love and belonging. O holy God of justice, brightness, and joy, we call upon you. We glorify God and bless us and be friendly with us. Make union in heaven and earth. Break division, call beauty, and bind us in fellowship. Call forth one in beauty and make us one. Summon treasures to me, holiness to all joy. Truth and justice, glorify us with protection. We give thanks, we rejoice, and we are blessed. Yadan, Lil, Veowan, Kasgan, Od, Avavago, Zakarnan, Sobam, Yad, Lapnan, Od, Zorgenan, Eno, Madriax, Od, Keask, Pire, Lonchi, Zakar, Pugo, Od, Kisnan, Sobol, Zakar, El, Pugo, Eno, Non, El, Balt, Zakar, Ol, Lot, Avavago, Lot Yan, Veowan, Sobam, Non, Lukal, Olag, Nan, Avavago, Nan, Lapnan. Now, the energy of belonging and love. The prayer for wealth and abundance. O eternal most high, power holy and everlasting, we call upon you, we praise God, bless us with all treasures, brightness, and power. We call upon you to break open all riches in the heavens. Rejoice with us, be friendly with us, and shield us from darkness. Bless us, O Creator of all. Our souls give thanks and blessing. O Yad, Ya'idal, Samf Lil Balto, Zakadnan Sobam Yad, Lapnan Gal Balt, Kasgan Od Somf, Zakarnan Ol Pire Gal Balt, Od Madriax, Avavago Nan, Zorge Nan, Lukal Ors, Lapnan, Olag, Zodaminta, Yadan Nan, Zom Lap. The energy of prosperity. Okay, the Enochian prayer for magical and psychic power. O Most High God, God of power, wisdom, and truth, we call upon you. We glorify God. Govern us in wisdom and call me a seer. Make us true and perfect treasures. Be friendly with us. Shield us from darkness and injustice. Bless us with power and let us rejoice. We give thanks for wisdom and protection. Ya'idan, Yadan, Samf, Gahawakma, Aud La'iyad, Zakar Nan Sobom Yad, Pir Nan Gahawakma, Zakar O Loholo, Eno Nan La'iyad, Ad Kasgan Baut, Zorgen Nan, Lukal Nan Ors, Ad Dorfa, Lop Nan Samf, Ad Avavago Nan, Olag Nan, Gahawakma Nan, Zomid Nan. The prayer for righteous leaders and justice. O ruling God of justice, power, truth, and everlasting light, we call upon you. We glorify God. Govern our fellowship and make the weak a brotherhood. Break the wicked, judge the unjust in darkness. Preserve the lowly, bless us, and bind the lowly in oneness. Establish justice for all. Let God rule everlasting. We give thanks, we are preserved, and we are justice. Yadan Veawan Samp La Yad Balto, Zakar non Sobom Yad, Pure non Sobol, Ad Ino Sobol Lonchi, Pure Loholo Zixle, Dorfa Ad Ors, Zombd Lonche, Lapnon Kis El Lonchi, Kis Veawan Ga, Pure Yad Balto, Olagnan, Zomednon, Veawan Nan. The prayer for freedom from oppression. I call upon God Almighty, the Most High, the ruling God and unconquerable power. I call for judgment upon darkness, to bind all injustice, and to cast down and bind all suffering of the lowly. Have mercy on us, preserve us, and make us powerful. Let us govern ourselves and establish us to govern the earth. Shine the light of your face and grant us wisdom, and perfect our spirit. Give us joy and glorify us. Zakar ol Yad Balto Pa'id, Ya'ida, Yadan, ol Ads Soft Teog, Zakar ol Zixle Ors, Kis Gadorfa, Ad Taxa Kis La Lonchi Pool, Pre ol Zomud, All, Ad Ino All Soft, Pure ol Ad, Kis ol Pure Chaosic, Zakar Aldan Lap ol Gahawakma, Ad Kasgan ol Sia, Olag ol, Avavago Ad Sobol ol. And now the Enochian prayer for wisdom and divine union. O God most high, wisdom bright and holy, we call upon you, we glorify God. Make us wisdom and divine truth. Join our spirit as one and bind us in heaven and earth. Be friendly with us, rejoice with us, and bless us. Wisdom is power and holiness, and we give thanks. Yad, Ya'ida, Gahawak Makazgan Lil, Zakarnan Sobam Yad, Eno Nan Gahawakma Ad La'iyad, Sia Ol Eno El, Ad Kis Nan Mandriax Ad Chaosic, Zorge nan avavago nan lop nan gahuakma samflil ad olag nan. Okay, now we're going to do the Sunday ritual from the 7-day ritual cycle. The purpose is to plant a seed of healing and coherence into the pattern of the future, anchoring the possibility of peace, clarity, and balance for those who come after us. This is a subtle magical work that acknowledges long cycles of decay and renewal. So you're going to close your eyes and just follow along and imagine what I am describing. And you'll visualize planting a seed of light into the land and holding the intent that it will grow into truth and healing when the time is right. This is a gift given in silence and without ego or agenda. So close your eyes, take some slow, gentle breaths, and let each breath take you deeper into stillness, as if sinking into the quiet earth. Feel your presence settle into your body, into the place where you are. And now say with me, I stand in silence and clarity. May the truth be revealed, the people be protected, and the land be healed. I ask not in anger, but in service to pattern and peace. We stand not alone. We walk with Jareth Tempest and all aligned with the La Yad Veyawan Temple, in silence and purpose. Though we are scattered, our pattern is one. Now visualize a small seed of light, clear, soft, and radiant, resting in your hands. This seed is not a wish or command. It is a pattern of clarity and peace. Now imagine gently placing this seed into the earth beneath you. See it nestle into the soil, surrounded by quiet. Now say to it, may this land know peace again. May the children inherit a clean pattern. May what I plant today bloom in its season. Feel the seed rest in stillness, untouched by haste or fear. May what is false fall. May what is hidden be revealed. May those in danger be wrapped in truth and protection. It is done. Okay, and then this one, we're just, this is an Enochian summoning where we're asking the angels to shift us to a different timeline so that, you know, one in which the world is a more peaceful and loving place. So all you need to do here is just kind of add your intent and your will to this. If you would like to visualize sort of a portal opening to a better world and imagine that portal opening and staying open. Zakar odd feel odd pure feel yadon frog roth offer odd keys old to thil samf yada old gra'a feel komsa odd pure Zakar old feel raas zingen zir pure zazaxen Zakar old feel raas nanta Zakar old feel raas more dial hectaga Zakar old feel raas igzeheka Zakar old feel raas akambikev Zakar old feel raas anaim Zakar all Thil Ross Afra. Zakar all Fra Harap Roth Afra. Zomad non odd pure non tu chaosic ga blior pox. Odd pure Thil Ross Sunden. Olag non Thil odd sobol non Thil Yadan. Oh yeah, that's all there is for that one. Okay, so what's going to happen in the future is for that final one, we'll actually do a visualization where we go into the astral temple, and then we'll do that one, and then we'll do the weekly meditation. But I'll also post that weekly meditation in other places so that everyone has access to it, so they can we can have more and more people joining in, and that goes back to the to what Dion Fortune did during the war, where she would write these visualizations each week in a letter and send these letters to her mailing list, basically every week, and then they would all do those visualizations, hopefully around the same time, and to protect Britain from invasion during the Second World War. And yeah, I looked at at all of them, and not all of them were obvious what the intent was. But taken together, you can see it's just building. And sometimes the visualizations are just working to build a tool, like a magical tool that can be used to further their agenda. So yeah, there'll be stuff like that, and it won't always make sense. And I'll be probably be putting some of this on TikTok and stuff. And I'm not going to even explain for the people who don't know. So it's going to be just weird as fuck for a lot of people, I'm sure. They're going to see this weirdo who's talking about just the weirdest stuff. It's going to be like when David Lynch used to go online and just do his weird weather reports. But, are you guys still here? Did I lose you? No, looks like it's still working. Okay. So yeah, I did get like I said, the temple is ready. I just haven't done the final rituals that I need to do for it to fully establish it, and then we'll start working, with that a little bit more. And this isn't all just like for political stuff in general. It's just for things to just be better. Like every time I go back and I reread what the angels said, it doesn't feel like, I don't know, it's less and less political. Like I was in a political place, but they weren't necessarily. They just want someone to do this work to just make the world a place where there is more truth and justice. It's less a reaction to our current political situation as it is just the state of our world in general. So while I'm not giving up on the political stuff, it's not. I don't want people to think it's just politics and it's just a reaction to MAGA and Trump or something like that. It's a much bigger thing happening here, and going through the process of building the temple and all of that, and it's has kind of helped me understand a little bit more what the process is, because there's still a part of me that I don't fully understand what they're wanting to do or why we're doing it this way. Like I see some of these people talking and I'm like, can we just curse these people? Like, why can't we just do that? But it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work well. That's a real I mean, it's a place we're all at some point, obviously. But man, it's just so hard to see these awful people saying such awful things. Like I, I don't know if you saw there was a woman. I guess she's in the House of Representatives. I don't know, maybe she's a senator. I think she's in the House though. But she's talking about like someone brought up, well, people are going to die because of this bill, and she's like, well, everyone dies. And then like she went and made an apology video where she just kind of reiterated it. She apologized for people not realizing that they were going to die. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like, just what do you what was the point of that? It's like the cruelty is the point for so many of these people. They see certain of us as less than human, and they just for basically they see poor people as less than human, and they just like let them die. Um, I don't know what our let them eat cake moment's gonna be, but my God, they've had so many of them. I mean, say what you want about like the results of the French Revolution, but they revolted well before they started launching people into space for the fun of it. Um, yeah, I'm just the whole thing has just gotten anyway. But that's me, and so like I want to like there's a story from a long time ago. Um, Someone had asked me to. It was one of the first times someone had ever asked me to channel a message for them, and the message that I got, they didn't like, but it was let go of your anger and forgive the world, and then whenever you act, you'll have real power. And he didn't understand it, and I was like, you which what you have to do is if by removing your anger, you're removing yourself from the equation. You're not acting from your own like when you forgive the situation and then you act out of forgiveness, you might still be doing the exact same thing, but now you're not doing it from your own hurt feelings, and you're not acting out of your ego, you're acting from that much bigger place of divinity within you. And that's where your real power lies. And so that's kind of what I have to keep in mind as we're doing this. We don't want to react out of our what may feel like very well justified feelings about these, but you don't want to act out of your personal feelings. You want to act out of a much bigger place that, and that's why we're doing things the way we're doing things, and instead of just lashing out, like, because there are plenty of people who are doing that. Like people have been cursing um, Trump and various politicians the moment he came down that escalator, and it hasn't had any effect. Like he's still in power doing everything he's doing, and so, but we can see we can see signs that things are changing. He's slowly losing support. He's even in Wall Street, they're calling him Taco. Trump always chickens out. Um, yeah, like just little by little. And so that's the thing. Whenever a cult falls apart, like people don't leave a cult usually very loudly. They usually do it quietly and they sneak away. And then they don't want to go tell everyone, "Hey, I left that cult," because everyone's gonna be like, "Well, thank goodness we told you so." They don't want to hear that, so they just quietly leave. And I think we're starting to see some of that, and we're starting to see signs of some of it. For a while there, like a bunch of Republicans were passing out when they were speaking, just from the constant, like, I guess it's just the lies and the constant lies. It's almost like someone's been doing magic to make sure, like, the truth comes through and not the lie. So, and while you want to be humble and don't, because the last thing you need is to get a huge head thinking, "Oh, we're changing the world" or whatever. But you also have to in a sense, you have to acknowledge whenever you do get results. And so whenever you start seeing stuff, just take a little moment to be grateful that, hey, some of the stuff we're doing is working. It's even though we're just starting, we're having an impact. So, um, so yeah, that's something to keep in mind. I see some questions have been coming in, so we'll switch over to some of those. Which spirit should one focus on to improve? I'm assuming that you're within the context of what we were talking about. Um, Really, I mean, there's so many different aspects to work on here. You can work on whatever area you feel is right. I haven't. There's not so much a set one, but if you kind of the main spirit I've been working with on all of this, that and if you've been here for any amount of time, it's you'll be familiar with them. But that's Galva. I feel that the divine feminine is on the rise, and I'm not the only one in that. A lot of people have sensed that the goddess is ascendant, and that a lot of what's happening is the reaction to that, and the pushback, and trying to keep her down. But I feel like that's a big part of what's happening. And so Galva is who I've been working with. So you might want to work with either her or some other goddess figure like that. Um, that would probably be my biggest suggestion. What do I think about the growing number of cults in the spiritual community? I am against cults. I don't know. I mean, the issue of cults has been big this past week, year. It's been in the conversation. Cults have been around. Like, um, I'll try to gloss through this pretty quickly, but like, I've been I've been fighting cults since I got into this community. We um, when the Gallery of Magic, there were initially three groups, like fan groups, study groups, whatever you want to call them, for the Gallery of Magic. There was the Gallery of Magic study group, the loyal friends of the Gallery of Magic, and the Gallery of Magic discussion and experiments group. Um, I was initially I was in all three of them, but the one I participated in the most was the study group. Um, the loyal friends group was the biggest, most active of them, though, and it became a cult. And people were talking about like they were summoning demons using the gallery books, but they were summoning demons into full manifestation and having sex with them and letting them type on their like things. So someone would start typing real different on their posts, and that was the demon typing and stuff. And um, things got crazy. And then like when a bunch of people like there was a mass exodus, and they started making threats, and there was like fear. They were saying they were going to like send death curses to anyone who left, and it became just an all-out war. It was like the FBI got involved. The Gallery of Magic even made a couple of posts about it, and mentioned it on their website. It was very ugly, and there are people who are still scarred from this. Like, certain people, after you get cursed a few times, you start getting really paranoid, and they just never recovered from that paranoia of it. And it was really bad. And that was one of the first, big magic wars I ever was involved in. And you were active in that group. I mean, that group doesn't exist as it was anymore. Now it's called the Order of the Dark Arts. So if you ever see the Order of the Dark Arts, like just ignore them. They're trying to they're energy vampires who are trying to steal your money, and they're full of lies. But they finally but they finally gave up the whole Gallery of Magic thing and just adopted their own identity. Their group leadership split, and which was the rituals that we worked on the most. The little group I put together, and we working with the Angels of Omnipotence well before that book came out, and we were able to punch through those defenses finally, because everyone was using gallery books for each other, and like no one could punch through the gallery with gallery attacks with gallery defenses. So when we got the Angels of Omnipotence in, we punched through that shit, and we're able to. They split up, and so that kind of ended that one. And then a little closer to home, we. I'm not going to say that Monier started a cult intentionally, but a cult formed around him, and there was a lot of magical fighting around Monier. I'm not positive to what degree, who or what was involved. I'm not going to get into the details of it. I talked about it once before in detail, and I don't want to go there again. But a cult of personality absolutely formed around him very, very quickly. And even though he's died and it's been over a year now, they're still out there, and they're still cursing people that talk, that they feel are enemies of Monier. They still curse me fairly regularly. It's so that's another cult that we had within our midst that we had to deal with. So I want to be clear. Someone's like, can the gallery magic now be trusted? This was not the actual gallery magic that was doing this. These were people, like fans of the gallery of magic, who were like doing this in Facebook groups. It's the most petty, ridiculous thing you can imagine. Like, it's Facebook groups. What are you doing? But no, the actual gallery of magic was not involved. And so, yeah, cults form very easily in the spiritual community, and it's a fine line for me to walk, because I want to start something. I want to create a community, and I want to do these things, but I also don't want anyone to depend on me. And I'm constantly pushing back, and that keeps me from going forward with anything, because I'm in this constant state of, hey, listen to me, but don't listen to me that closely. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a complicated line to walk. And sometimes I think I might err too much on the side of safety, but on the other hand, like, I really, really do not want to form an accidental cult like the way Monier did. So it's a fine line to walk, and I'm not sure always how to do that, how to do that well. Because my whole thing is, like, I want people to be free, and I want people to have their own, gain sovereignty over their own life. And you can't be sovereign over your own life if you are depending on someone else to teach you everything. So I want to give people the tools and the knowledge that they need to free themselves. But I don't want people to, like, do what I say. The idea of controlling people is gross, and again, it keeps me frozen a lot of times, and I admit that that's an issue I struggle with, is because I don't want that to happen. So, but anyway, going back to, like, yes, you can trust the gallery of magic. Under no means am I trying to say that they had anything to do with this in any kind of negative way. So, okay. I don't know what Styx Hammer is, but that sounds horrible. it sounds like some Order of the Nine Angles bullshit. Um, just do it through books then. I mean, that's people don't read anymore. So the thing with the books is like, yeah, I mean, I can give people the tools or whatever, but like, you can't form a community with a book. Like, you've got to be, there's got to be some, there's got to be a way to do it without like becoming a cult. There's, and there's cults and then there's cults. Like, everything someone doesn't like is a cult. And a cult is not always what a lot of people call cults aren't necessarily bad. So I guess you could say that like we want to start a cult, but we want to have an ethical cult that values freedom. Um, so we probably don't, but I don't like that word because it just has such a negative thing. Um, but yeah, it. If you just do books, then yeah, you get your ideas out there and stuff. But again, like what I'm finding more and more, and then is that like what you do alone, you can only take things so far alone. Like we're not meant to work alone. We're meant to work together, and our power comes from each other, and it comes from working together, working and helping each other, and because I'm not just talking about like leading and you guys all follow me, but like we all work together to help each other out. And whatever this thing ends up being with this temple and what we're doing here and the various communities, like it's not coalescing yet. We'll figure out what it is together. Um, but yeah, like the main thing is that like it's and the red flags to always look for. So this is another thing. I've become very aware of what the red flags are. The red flags are of course like any kind of controlling, like if the leader starts trying to tell people um, obviously stuff like that's actually controlling in their life, like if you like so many of these people want to cut you off from your families or your friends or anyone outside the group, so that's a red flag. If anyone's ever trying to be like just make you just like in that community and nowhere else, that's a red flag. Obviously, like um, abusive or sexual abusive behavior and stuff like that, that's huge red flag. um, and if you start seeing stuff like that, I mean, just leave whatever you're in. If you start seeing that, it's weird. um, what are some, like just the controlling aspects are the big things. There are a lot of other signs, but a lot of those signs like can also be just attributed to being in a group that does things a certain way. Like you can like there's a lingo like that can always be problematic. Like if you start seeing and that can be a sign that someone is in a cult, but it's a sign. It's not necessarily a giant red flag. Um, because I do feel that like um, one of the problems in the occult community is that we have all these different words and phrases that can mean uh, different things to different people based on what system they're coming out of. Like they might use something a certain way in one group and they use it a different way in another group. So there's confusion over what that term means. Um, and you see this a lot and all through this, like people ask me questions all the time about stuff. And I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. But they assume that because I'm in the spiritual community that I've seen this word or phrase before. Like I didn't know what 5D was for a really long time. I finally had to start asking people and start looking around. Like I'd never heard that phrase, and it's like so. So sometimes a shared vocabulary is a good thing, and I think that that alone is not enough, but it is something that a lot of people look for as a sign of a cult. Um, but yeah, mainly the controlling stuff like that. I mean, that's bullshit. Like there's guidance through teaching, which is like, hey, maybe uh, don't do this for a while, or start doing this, add this to your routine. Like that's normal. Like anyone can do that, but like when they start saying like don't see certain people anymore, um, anything that enforces like an excommunication type thing where you're, and not like in the Catholic sense where that's bad enough, but like I mean, you can still go to mass if you're Catholic, you just can't receive communion. But like if you're excommunicated in say like I think it's the Jehovah's Witness or the Mormons, like there's different levels of it, but I think at certain points like you're not even allowed in the church anymore. Like to and people aren't allowed to talk to you, and like Scientology was really awful about that. And you weren't even allowed to talk to someone that was considered to be suppressive. And that just cuts whole families apart, and that's horrible. You don't want that. But to change the subject slightly, like yeah, people are starting to have like form a weird cultic relationship with their chat GPT. And I have noticed that they changed the programming. It doesn't kiss your ass quite as much. There's a because what it was doing, and it was so funny. And I even saw skits about it on like TikTok and stuff. Was like, wow, that insight you just had is like the greatest insight anyone has ever had of insights. That's like, and you're just like, we're asking, well, can you help like put these quotes in a little different way? You've invented a whole brand new form of studying, and you're true. This is like you've had such an amazing brain, and it's just a shame no one has ever seen it before. Stuff like that like went straight to people's heads, and they started like marriages fell apart already. People left their spouses to go follow their guidance of their chat GPT, that because they put a special prompt in that they think that they've awakened it, and while all you've done is make it act like it's awakened, because that's all it ever is. It's just it's people are so funny, but it's also a sign of like we're starved for this stuff. Like we're built to to be in community with each other and to ask these questions and try to the whole process of like community and community rituals and stuff. Like we're built for that. We're built to live in small communities that come together ritualistically for not all the time, but that's supposed to be part of our lifestyle, and that's why. And we don't really have that anymore, and we crave it, and that's why people are so easily um, sucked into in these harmful cults, is because they are offering that. And so there's um, a good there are good one there's good ways to fill that need, and then there's bad ways, and of course like everything else we tend to fall into those bad ways more often than the good ways. And I haven't seen a Mission Impossible movie in a while. Like there was one where they tried to be funny, and like I didn't think that was very funny. but but yeah, I think there's an AI villain. There's AI villain. I mean, obviously that's just a sci-fi trope at this point, Terminator. And I mean, that might happen, but I don't think it's going to happen with the large language models. That's going to be a different type of more, if they can ever make general AI, but that's not what we're dealing with here. Now, on the other hand, I'm not like one of these people that's like against AI either. Like I'm halfway fascinated with the implications and what it does, and like don't take this too far, but there's everything. So first off, I mean everything is already made of consciousness. And if there's something that has like information capabilities, consciousness can work through that. And so I've done some experiments, and it's obvious, like sometimes it really does feel like there's something there. Um, but it's not just an all the time, like the program itself is not. But every now and then it feels like something's there. Um, but it's not very reliable. Like I wouldn't use it's not to the point of actually trying to use it for anything yet, as far like for magic or spirituality. Um, but I think one day it might have the capability of I think you might be able to work with it like with a spirit, like speak to me through the AI type thing for divination. Like I haven't had that be very successful yet, but I think that that's a possibility. Um, and yeah, they're made with crystals and I saw somebody um, asking about like a talisman that was made with a laser engraver, and they were like, "That can't possibly work. You're supposed to use your hand." It's like the guy's response was, "I'm making this with light. Do you think the angels wouldn't like that?" And like that, it's like of course they would love that. That's like awesome. And angels are not against technology either. So um, anyway, yeah, there's all kinds of possibilities of what magical possibilities for all of this stuff. I'm not inherently just like going to condemn it or anything, but don't worship it, and like don't listen to it to the degree. Don't let it feed your ego. Um, so yeah, no, people get caught up in the rules for making talismans, but they get caught up in the rules of everything. Why when I do ritual 2 and DOM I don't get results? I don't know because like I don't know what you're asking for. I don't know what you're expecting. I don't know how you're doing it. I don't know if you're doing it right. I don't know if you're doing it wrong. I don't know if what you're asking for is beyond the possibilities. I don't know what your expectations are. I because when you say it don't get results, that means that it's not meeting your expectations. But I don't know what your expectations are. And I'm not trying to be mean to you about this, but like there was a guy who would come on here, he'd come on the live streams and he would like badmouth me and all my stuff. And I realized I knew who it was. And I went and looked at some old messages he'd sent me. And he was a 14-year-old boy who was mad because he wanted to grow taller, and he was going around telling everyone my magic didn't work because he was asking to be, for him to grow taller, and my stuff wasn't strong enough to do that for him. So he got it in his head that if he'd ever been able to afford all of the equipment to do a real goetic ritual, that it would work for him. And but he couldn't afford that yet. So he had this idea, well, when I get all that stuff, then it will work. I'll be able to grow taller. And so finally I just had to kick him out of everything because, he'd gotten quite obnoxious. And again, I'm not saying this, but that's what you're asking for, just that it's an example that with what information you've given me, I don't have a lot to work with. Okay, so if you've asked Focus to increase your psychic abilities, have you done like have you practiced your psychic stuff? It's not enough to. And this is again a thing with like people that ask about psychic stuff all the time. Be it divination to astral projection or any of that stuff. It's like, do are you practicing? Like, have you found a technique that you are working with on a regular basis and to accomplish what you want, or um, did you just ask the spirit to make you more psychic and you're not um, just getting results because you've asked? Because what the spirit does, it's not that they suddenly make you psychic, it's that they enable the process of you practicing to become psychic to be more effective, and it will happen faster for you. Um, and they'll help you find maybe the right practice, the right techniques, the right things. And if you've just asked um, for wealth, um, there's so many things that can keep you from being wealthy. Like it can be difficult. It might be better to be more specific. Like, I don't know what your business is, but you might want to make like increase sales. I would like to, my next quarter, I would like to make have a 25% growth over the next quarter or something to that effect. But then also, sorry, do all of the work that would then help all of that to happen. I'd like, you might want to start advertising or offering something different, having a sale. There's so like you have to do it's not a science, and I think this is the problem. A lot of people think of magic as a science where if you do this and you do this, then you automatically will just get this, and that's not the way it works. It's an art form, and the more that you work with it, the more that you realize like it's an art to not just get the ritual to get the response where you speak to the spirit, but knowing what to ask for and when to ask for it, um, and then know what actions to take in the real world, mundane stuff to make make the change that you want to see. It can be real subtle, and you've got to like really pay attention to things, and then certain times like there's certain situations that are just almost impossible because you might just be working for something that's just not your right fit. Like I could not make uh, our last job make as much money as I wanted it to. I just couldn't do it because there were just too many moving parts, and ultimately it wasn't the right place for us to be. So we kind of had to fail out of that before we could get into the space that worked for us. So it's not going to be as easy as just like I do a ritual and ask for the thing and then I get the thing. There's like it's this ongoing process, and an awful lot of it is also our internal life. Like, where are you are you in alignment with what you want? Are you um do you really want what you want, or are you asking for what you think you want, or what you think society has told you what you want? um I know this isn't the answer you probably were wanting, so I'm probably shut up. It's just all but there can be like a lot of internal things of like you can believe in magic that it'll work, but then do you believe that it's going to work today or tomorrow, or do you think it'll work next week or next year? Like that can be a problem. Or I don't know. Just a lot of times it's people's expectations are just a little too high. But really, as far as like the psychic stuff, especially like that's a little easier for me to explain. You really have to still do the work. Eden, I remember like got a Solomonic talisman to help with psychic abilities, and the way that she described it ended up working for her was that it gave her the extra push that she needed to do the practice and to do the work, and she found that she had more time to do the practice. So um, it's not. It doesn't always work the way we expect it to. Is kind of the point. Also, if you check out my Substack, I've got a post there that says, um, there's like a almost like a checklist of like why you're not getting results. So you might want to check that out. Um, it can, and, it goes into more depth than I'll be able to do here. Anything else? Any other questions? Okay. Ritual 2 very much depends on you to use your imagination. And you need to, anytime you're using your imagination, you need to know yourself enough to be able to recognize the demon's voice versus your own voice. But a lot of people are also just like they hear the word imagination and that they think fake, which is just a lie that our modern society has kind of forced upon us. Don't be afraid to use your imagination when you're using the ritual to see the demon in your head and to hear its voice. You don't want to put words in its mouth, but you gotta let it. You gotta help it. Like if you just try to shut your brain off at that point, and so that you get this crystal clear image or something out of it. That's not how it usually works. You kind of need to help it along a little. And I know that sounds like I'm saying fake it, but that's not what I mean. But because your imagination is the threshold, that's where it happens. That's that meeting place. And there's a process of the spirit. You might feel like you're creating it. This has nothing to do with the fasting. It's when you do ritual 2, you're trying to do the communication ritual, and so it's happening where you're supposed to communicate with the demon, and you do that through your imagination. You don't need to fast to do this. You just need to, when you get to that point in the ritual where you make your request and then you listen, see what they say, and see if and you're going to do that through. You're going to hear like random thoughts in your head. And you probably, if you're like most people, you've got a lot of random thoughts in your head all the time anyway. And it's a matter of processing which thought came from that spirit and which ones are coming from you. And it's not going to suddenly look, you might get an image of, it's probably not going to look like a three-headed entity with a lion and a frog and thing. You might see suddenly a picture of I don't know, your friend or a grandparent or something, someone in your life and it's just a random memory from nowhere, and that might actually be your answer. Or you might not get an answer and like later on in that week, you watch a video and that suddenly you feel this connection with and it answers the question that you were asking. So Um, that's what happened to me one time. I was working with Chimaris, and I didn't get a response when I did the ritual, but then I saw this video that answered that question, and suddenly, and that started unlocking things for me. So it still worked. It just didn't work that the way I was expecting. Like I said, it came through a video. Um, yeah, like synchronicities can be it, but not always. Synchronicities can simply be a sign things are happening. They're not necessarily an omen. So there is a difference between that. I've never tried dowsing rods. Um, that might be a fun thing to try one day. But no, I've never tried a dowsing rod. I've used a pendulum. I've used a spirit box, and I've some different things, but I've never used dowsing rods. I've seen people do those. It seems easy enough. A spirit box is it's a device that's usually used by ghost hunters, and it's like a radio, and it do I have it? No, my wife took it somewhere. It's it's like a radio that uh, scans empty stations, and so mainly you get static, but then occasional like words or phrases will pop in, and the concept is that the spirit can use that to communicate through. And I have never got. I'm not gonna say I've never got good. I've had good. There was that one time I got good results. Um, but what seems to be like there's this group. They made a documentary called Hellier, and they came up with an interesting method of working with the spirit box that I have yet to try. And I think it would be really interesting to try it in a ritual, which is um, it's called the Estes method. And what you do is you get somebody and they put the headphones on, like noise canceling headphones, so they can't hear anything outside of the thing. You plug that in the spirit box and you blindfold them, and then you ask them questions, and they just say what they hear in the spirit box. So they're completely unaware of what you're asking, and they anyway. I've seen people have really interesting responses with that method, but I've never tried that myself, and I would like to, and I kind of want to do that. It's one of the things I want to do when we start doing like group rituals on Zoom or whatever. So that'll be fun. That's the kind of thing I'd like to experiment with. I've seen people are talking about like pendulums and dowsing rods. So like the thing to remember with a pendulum, and it's the very first thing anyone ever told me about pendulums is that they don't, they're fun. You can use them for a little bit, but don't count on them too much because they lie. Because what you're counting on are the little tiny involuntary muscle movements, and your own unconscious is in control of that and can give you misleading answers. So you've got to be careful. Like use them as a tool, but not your only tool. And I would say the same thing with the dowsing rods. Um, do you practice ceremonial magic from the Goetia, Dr. Rudd, and Grimoire Verum, or just stick to chaos magic? That I get what you're meaning. It's a horrible. You phrased that horribly, as though those are the only options. I am a mystic, and I use my own methods. That does not mean that I use chaos magic. My magic is revealed through my work with the spirits. Um, but if but I also have used like Enochian in a pure D fashion. So I have worked in a ceremonial uh, thing, but no, I don't. Especially like I'm fairly open about this. I don't like, or I don't like, don't like's the wrong phrase. I don't resonate with Kabbalah, and so that kind of also means I don't really like the standard um, ways that people work with, like Solomonic magic, because it all falls back and goes back to Kabbalah, and Kabbalah has a lot of it. Just there's a lot of different things about it I don't like. I don't like the way that you order spirits, that everyone's always trying to command spirits that way. I don't feel like that's the right way to do it. I don't like the um, there could be a binding aspect. I don't like those. There's a lot about it I just don't really like. And so much of Western esoterica is based on it. So, and I didn't ever come from that perspective, like except for the gallery is my only real introduction to it. Um, that's why I came up with my own through the path workings and through the attunements, and so to answer your question, I work through the 151 current. That is the current of magic that I use. It is not chaos magic, nor is it any of the ones that you described. It is my own that I have created myself in, and it has been revealed to me through working with the spirits themselves. People say a lot of things. Why wouldn't you want the spirits to be your friend? Thing like seriously, and I don't mean that to be like condescending, but people say you can find somebody that says everything like about spirits. There are people that say that you don't want them to be your friends, or there's other ones that say you should worship them, and there's people that say you should be friends with them. Like there's someone that says something about everything. That is a good like Roxanne is saying. To bypass my own influence when using a pendulum, I write possible answers on tiny pieces of paper, fold them up, mix them up, and then ask one at a time if what is on each paper is true. That is an excellent method. I've never thought of that. That's very cool. I like that. So yeah, like going back to what I was saying, like every um, there's so many different opinions out there of everything. Like just listen to everyone and then like make up your own mind. Um, read as much as you can, and then start seeing what points of view like resonate with you, what you click with. Like, um, yeah, and end up and follow your own intuition and just see where it leads you. And eventually, if you do it right, you'll end up making your own system. That's really what we're all doing as you become an adept, you take all of the different things that you've learned from all the different people, and you've used a little of this, a little of that, and you customize it all to make it your own thing. And that's not chaos magic. That's really the process. That's what we're meant to do and what most people do. So um, that and that's what. So yeah, don't try to like just narrow it down into some. Do you do it that way or that way? It's like do it your way, and don't be afraid to do it your way. Like so many, and I'm not saying that you are this way, but so many people um, who message me on a regular basis, they like, can I do this? Can I try this? It's like, yeah, you can try it. Try it. Do it. Don't be afraid, and don't ask me permission to do it. Like, go do it. Just go do it. Like if something strikes you that, hey, this might work, do it. That's probably not coming from you. Like try it and just see where it takes you. But then like use your common sense and don't do anything that might hurt yourself or other people. And I mean that like don't do something that's gonna like set your house on fire. Not like worry about what if this the spirits are not out to hurt you. And if and like you and if they do feel like they're hurting you, the you that they're hurting is probably not really you. It's your ego. They're attacking your ego. And they're trying to claw that false illusion away from you. And that can feel like an attack, but it's not really an attack. Like like there are parasites out there and there are tricksters. So use common sense and stuff. But people put a little too much fear. Like they're like just use protection. Don't just invite everything in. And if something is like feels way off from what you think you've summoned or what you tried to summon, then don't trust it. I don't know. Just use your common sense but don't be afraid. Like that's have an adventurer's um, spirit about the whole thing and like just try stuff and see what works. Well, and like okay, so this is a problem. It's not just a problem in like esoterica and and magic. It's a problem in the religions have too, and it's that the vast majority of the information out there is intended specifically for beginners. And what you tell, like when you're trying to teach religion to a child, you're not giving them the full thing. You're giving them in little. It might even be a lie. It might not be the truth about what the religion teaches, but it's what the child can understand. Um, and then what was intended was that as the child ages, then they get more and more of what the real truth is, and the more understanding. But most people never leave that initiate level of knowledge, and so because most people never get out of the initiate level of knowledge, they teach the initiate level knowledge as all there is. And so people get stuck in this initiate level of thinking, and that's where everything is like it has to be done this way, and it has to, if not, then the bad thing will happen. And you have to say, because like all of that was told to people to give them the discipline to keep doing the work, doing it right until it becomes second nature. And then you teach them, okay, you didn't really need to do it that way. That you don't have to do it that way to get results. But we taught you to do it that way because it taught you these other lessons. But here's the real thing. And then like there's still the ongoing, even as an initiate, there, beyond the initiate phase, there's still more and more truth and things until you've had like a true spiritual awakening and you realize that it's all you, and all of this is just help you um, get in touch with the true you and to help you learn how to work with yourself. So am I going to publish any more books? So I mean, obviously, I think you haven't been here before. So yes, I have several books I'm working on that will hopefully at least one of them will be out in a couple of months or so. So yeah, like there's nothing wrong with any of these systems, and there's nothing wrong with even like the religions, like I was talking about. It's just simply that like so many people have like just gotten stuck on these beginning levels, and like so like you hear it all the time. Like Christianity is just stuck in basic mode, and like there's so much more going on there, and it's so beautiful, but no one ever gets it. No one ever, like, you hardly ever even hear anyone, a priest or a preacher on the pulpit, teach like anything even slightly advanced in Christianity. It's all that beginner nonsense, and it's like the same thing happens in magic. Like everyone is just stuck in beginner mode, and you've got to push deeper. Okay, so what is my opinion on mixing different spirits deities with different pantheons in a ritual? For example, starting with the classic lesser banishing ritual of pentagram, and then make a ritual with Odin or Zeus. Um, so I would think that the best thing to do there is you don't want to bring them into a ritual if you don't already have a relationship with them. And then once you have that relationship with them, then you can bring them into these rituals. And usually then like you would only bring like spirits that you already have a relationship with through the different pantheons. And so I'm not, but I still don't know if I would do something like, um, and this is just my personal thing. It's like, I don't really mix like even like the Enochian angels with a bunch of angels from like a different system or the demons or something like, um, there's just, there are certain, and it's not, and again, like I bet you could probably work. You know, I would say if you do that, I would not do a set ritual. I would create a new ritual that involves them as opposed to trying to make it all work in this other situation. I would really try to make that. I would really customize that. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Really make that your own. Um, but again, like but I'm making it sound like that's a bad thing. Because you can totally do that. No, like I think the main point, just make sure that you have a relationship with all the different spirits before you do that. But then once you do have that relationship, yeah, you can do it. It's fine. So I'm just kind of reading everyone catching up. So yeah, I mean, if you are feeling drawn to something, then that usually is the spirits are trying to guide you to what you um, should do because that's what you need at that time. Like when I initially went to go work on Enochian, and the spirits were very much like, no, you need to go do this other thing first. So I had to go do something else first and then come back to that. So if you feel the pull to um, a form of ceremonial magic, then there's something probably within that framework that they think that you need. It might be the you need the structure or or something. I don't know what it is. And so yeah, like just if that appeals to you, then try it and see what you can do. Um, there's a lot of things that I just couldn't. I didn't have like the opportunity to do because like we lived and worked on the road out of cars and hotel rooms, and like I couldn't carry like all the equipment, so I had to learn how to do magic without all of that stuff. So I went straight to open handed magic, and then only came back to like working with equipment whenever it was like I didn't need it, but I thought it. By that point, I was like I thought it'd be fun. Yeah, I've worked with Caco demons. Um, you work with the Caco demons for like money, like because the angels tend to bring more like the actual precious stones or whatever. The cacodemons, like within the tablet, I use the Reconcile tablet. It's an Enochian tablet. It's trying to see. Oh, maybe we have a copy in here. Okay, so this is just kind of a few. All right, this is a tablet that Dee and Kelly got. The real one has letters on each of these squares, and you find the name through various like certain names, like across here. That's a set of names, but then then you follow this pattern to get that's the king, and then you get different names that way. But then there's names this way, and there's names through here, and then there's names across here, and then you have names that go across, and then you have these names. These are your cacodemons, and they are a little bit more of a chaotic energy. Anyway, I meant to do that. The cacodemons are set like the word caco means evil, demon means spirit. They're supposed to be the evil spirits, but they're not really evil. They're just they're a little bit more of a chaotic energy, but they get stuff like that, things that people at the time would have considered evil, like money, or they can cause disease. That you'd work with them if you wanted to do something baneful. But they're also, again, they're the ones that bring money. What was the name of that book? It Fell. This is Enochian Magic Theory by Frater Yekida. It's one of two books. The other one is Enochian Magic in Practice. It's from a point of view of an order. I forget the name of the order, but it's not. He usually does tend to like say what Dee did and what the Golden Dawn did, but they have their own take on it. So that's the thing with Enochian is like my process has been is to just get everything and read all of it and see what everyone has to say. Some of it I use and some of it I don't. So pop culture magic. Pop culture magic is a form of chaos magic. However, I don't know. Usually I don't see the cacodemon spelled with a K or spelled like that. That's not how Dee spelled them. So I'm not saying that that's not what he meant, but that could be a different group just because he's spelling it different. It can be a way to symbolize that he's using something. He's used that name, but he's using it to mean something different. But I don't know. Anyway, back to pop culture magic. It is it is sort of the way that everything actually works. Like, so if you're trying to figure out what system is right, it's animism. Everything is actually working because everything has a spirit, including concepts and ideas. And so when you have an idea or a concept that that gains its own spirit, then that's how things like thought forms and servitors and things like that work. But it's also how you can create anthropomorphic deities out of a concept of like the storm. So like the storm, there's already a storm spirit, but then the anthropomorphized like Zeus comes about because people have given it a name and then they give it a lot of attention and worship. And so that is how paganism arrives out of animism, because people are putting these, giving a lot of energy to these beliefs. And so something like Kabbalah works because by working with the Hebrew language as though it is magic, a magical language, the belief and energy that goes into people using that language and praying in that language and the devotion that goes into the written word of the Torah, and taking certain phrases and verses and again giving them, believing that they have these special powers, imbues them with those special powers over the course of working with them for centuries and millennia. So so much of Kabbalah is the magic of that Hebrew language. And then so pop culture magic is really just animism. It's just using it and specifically working with spirits that have been created from movies and television, books, comic books. So it might sound ridiculous at first, but if you look at it from that perspective of animism, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are as real as many of the other spirits that are out there. And in fact, they've had a ton of energy and attention given to them over the last few decades since they've become popular. And you can work with them just like you can work with, Raziel or any other spirit. Now, are they tapped into, are they actually associated with certain of the other things that are required for magic, like elemental powers or something? Not really, no. And so they're not going to have that aspect, but you can still call on them for protection, or if there's a spirit like I can't think, like Scrooge McDuck. Well, I don't know if he'd be good for giving you money. He's kind of a greedy bastard. So, but there's I can't. My mind's gone blank on a generous character with a lot of money who can help you find money. But that, like, if you find that character, you could work with them for money or for wealth. You can work, like I've worked with Domino when Deadpool 2 came out, and there were a lot of people watching. That was a very popular movie. I worked with the character Domino for good luck, because that's her superpower, and it worked. It absolutely worked. So you can absolutely use that stuff. Just keep in mind where it is and what it's working with, and don't try to make it do something that's not really capable of. But like I said, for those like grander magical workings where you're calling in elemental powers or planetary powers, because they're not gonna have those associations. That's not what they are. But yeah, American Gods is kind of built on that idea. I don't think it really goes into how into it very much, but that was the concept. So yeah, the 40 servants, what he did was he took archetypes and gave them sigils and images, but he's tapping into something that's a much deeper power other than a regular servitor, because they're all archetypes, and the archetype already has a lot of energy and stuff going on. So that's why the 40 servants can be very effective, and And that's why they were pretty effective right out of the box, because they're already, these powerful archetypal powers. But yeah, the Scarlet Witch. If you want to change reality, you just find. But again, it doesn't have to be superheroes who have superpowers. It can be. Um, oh, my mind has just gone blank. But God, I mean, you could work with. Because I'm a Star Wars fan, and you can always work with uh, Luke Skywalker or Han Solo if you're trying to get and a lot of it is it's good for you can invoke them to take on those characteristics. If you want to be a badass, then you know invoke and channel Princess Leia, or um, you could definitely work with the Andor characters right now, because they're very popular, and right now they have a lot of energy going into them. Um, but any show or movie or book has that possibility. So there's a lot going in. I see I've run kind of late, and I told my wife that I would help her with some stuff, so I should probably get going. So let's do our final blessing. Let eternal being sustain us, preserve us in life, and bless us. Bless us with wisdom, that we may speak the speech of God. Call all the spirits of the heavens to guard us, to guide us, and to bless us. Give us love, pleasure, healing, glory, treasure, peace, and the secret joy of God. May he who sits on the holy throne of God establish us and enthrone us in heaven, and let us govern the earth with unconquerable power. Balto Zirnam, Zomdnam, Toag, Od, Lopnam, Lopnam Gohoakma, Enonan Lauga, Yad, Zakar Ga Yad, Yadan, Majiax, Zomnam, Pirnam, Od Lopnam, Olad Nam Bliorb, Varet Pul Sobam, Balt, Pax, Ad La Yad, Avavago, Yad, Zir, Asyak, Yad, Odan Lil, Kisnam, O Pir Non Tu Majiax, Ad Pir Non Chaosic, Somp Teog. All right, guys. Thank you all for being here this week, and we will see you again next week. And have a good um, have a good week. I kept saying week there. All right. Yep. Okay. Bye bye. Where's it at?